Hello students, I am Dinesh Udupi and we are continuing with our study of molecular biology, evolution and ethology paper, and this is session number 5, and in this session we are going to study about vectors, two examples PBR322 and tDNA, and then we will study about cDNA library and cloning. Now let us start with the study of vectors. Now what is a vector? Vector is a DNA molecule that is capable of replication in a host organism and can act as a carrier molecule for the transfer of genes into the host. Now that's what we call vectors. You just think of vector is a small fragment of DNA which can be introduced into the host cell. Now once it enters into the host cell, probably of other organism, it is capable of multiplying on its own, and since it has the ability to multiply on its own, what we can do is we can insert the gene of our interest in the vector, and we transfer this vector which is carrying the gene of our interest into the host cell. Since it is going to multiply and express in the host cell, we are going to get the gene of our interest also expressed in the host cell. So this is how the vectors are used in the genetic engineering to express the desired character in the host cell. So you can use vectors as a tool or vehicles to transfer the desired gene into the host cell. The biology of gene cloning is concerned with the selection and use of a suitable vector, a living system or host in which the vector can be propagated. That's what I told you right now. Types of vectors. There are two kinds of vectors. Cloning vectors. Cloning vectors are small pieces of DNA which have the ability and are used to introduce foreign gene of interest into the host cell. As I already mentioned, these are the vectors into which you can insert the gene of your interest and you can transfer this to the host cell. And then second one is the expression vector, which is more important in the genetic engineering. That is, expression vector is a type of vector which not only introduces a gene of interest into the host cell, but also aids in the analysis of the foreign gene via relevant protein product expression. So we want a vector which can carry the gene of our interest. It enters into the host cell, it multiplies, and also expresses its own genes along with the gene which we have inserted into it. So in the host cell, we are getting the gene of our interest getting expressed. So that is the use of the expression. PBR322 is one such vector which is extensively used in biotechnology or genetic engineering. It is a plasmid vector. It is one of the first vectors to be developed by Bolivar and Rodriguez in 1977. So the name PBR322 refers to P plasmid, B Bolivar, or Rodriguez. So the name actually refers to its discoverers. It is 4,363 base pair long, and it carries two sets of antibiotic resistant genes. That is, they carry resistant genes for ampicillin and tetracycline. It contains only single or unique recognition site for 12 different restriction enzymes. So the vector is useful only if it is having the restriction sites, because what is our interest is to break this vector and insert the gene of our interest in the vector and then transfer it to the host cell. So for this to happen, it is necessary for the vector to have restriction sites. So here it contains only single or unique recognition site for 12 different restriction enzymes. So that's why it proved to be very useful tool in the genetic engineering experiments. So here, this is the diagram showing different parts of this vector. So this vector is actually a circular of DNA, right? So you can see the different sites. These are the restriction sites representing, these sites are the ones where the restriction enzymes are going to break, right? So this is ORI, origin of replication site, and this is the part which is responsible for resistance against ampicillin, and this portion is responsible for tetracycline antibiotic. Now, let us move on to the study of transfer DNA or tDNA. The transferred DNA is the transferred DNA of the tumor-inducing plasmid of some species of bacteria, such as Agrobacterium tumefaciens and Agrobacterium rhizogenes. So, tDNA refers to the transferred DNA of the tumor-inducing plasmid, which is found in some bacteria, and these bacteria infect the plants. So by transferring the tDNA into the plant genome, the bacterium essentially reprograms the plant cells to grow into a tumor and produce a unique food source for the bacteria. Just imagine what is happening here. Agrobacterium tumefaciens and Agrobacterium rhizogenes are the bacteria which will infect the plant cells, especially the root cells of the plant, some plants. And these bacteria, what they will do is they will transfer the tDNA into the plant cell, into the plant DNA, right? So by transferring this tDNA into the plant genome, right, what happens is this tDNA is going to change the behavior of the plant cells genetic expression. Now the plant cell starts producing some products which is consumed by bacteria as a food. Now what happens, because of the insertion of this tDNA, the plant cells are reprogrammed to grow into a tumor-like structure and produce unique food source for the bacteria. So that food source, for that particular food source, these bacteria are going to introduce the tDNA into the plant cell. Now, scientists have understood this mechanism, and they are using this particular tDNA to transfer the gene of our interest into the plant cells, right? It is used to introduce genes into the plant cell for basic research. So scientists are using this tDNA to understand some molecular mechanisms of the plant cells metabolism, and it is also used for production of commercially important transgenic plants. So you just imagine, we can insert the gene of our interest in this tDNA, and then the tDNA will enter into the plant cell and it will get incorporated into the plant's own genome, and then the plant starts transcribing, expressing this tDNA, which is having the gene of our interest. So our gene of interest starts expressing and starts producing the product. So this is how transfer DNA is also used in genetic engineering. Now next concept is complementary DNA library. A complementary DNA library represents a collection of only the genes that are encoded into proteins by an organism. You know that DNA molecule is a very big molecule. It consists of genes. What are genes? Genes are the parts of DNA which carry information for the synthesis of a particular protein. Now what we know is DNA is a very big molecule. It's very long, but only a very small part of DNA consists of genes, right? So the sensible part, the coding part of DNA is very less, whereas the non-coding part of DNA is maximum. So DNA is made up of both coding and non-coding regions. So the coding region forms a very small portion of the actual DNA. Now this cDNA library is nothing but the collection of all the genes, I mean all the coding regions of a DNA. You just imagine a very long DNA which is having both the non-coding and coding regions. You remove all the non-coding regions and join only the coding regions. So what we get is a small DNA molecule which is made up of only the genes, I mean the coding parts. So that you can call it as the complementary DNA library. Now how it is formed? So first the mRNA is isolated, and using the reverse transcription process, DNA strand is formed from the mRNA, and once we get the one DNA strand, we can produce the opposite strand using the replication process, and after this we will get the duplex, the double-stranded DNA. So that is nothing but the gene or coding part of the DNA. So this complementary DNA is entered into the suitable vector. So like this, by isolating the mRNAs and producing the DNA molecules and then joining all those DNA fragments having coding region, you are going to produce the complementary DNA library. And this complementary DNA library is going to be very helpful in the genetic engineering. Now let us move on to the study of the cloning concept. Remember, in these sessions we are just familiarizing ourselves with some important tools, important concepts and important procedures of the genetic engineering. We are not going to study them in deep. We are not going to study all the fine details of the process or the tools, right? So cloning. What is cloning? Cloning is the process of generating a genetically identical copy of a cell or an organism, right? So producing an exact copy of a cell or of an organism is called cloning. Now remember, in nature, cloning happens. You just think of mitosis. What is happening in mitosis? In the mitosis, we already studied, there is a process called DNA replication. So from one DNA molecule, two exact copies of DNA molecules are produced. It is nothing but the cloning. So from one mother cell, two daughter cells are produced which are exactly same genetically. It is also cloning. So mitosis process is nothing but cloning, and it happens in the nature. So simple, right? You find mitosis happening everywhere, in the plant cells, in animal cells, in all parts of the body, right? And another type of cloning you observe in the nature is the birth of identical twins, right? In humans, you know that we find identical twins birth sometimes. So both individuals, they have same type of DNA, right? So this is also is an example of cloning, right? Now cloning is also used as a tool in genetic engineering to produce organisms with desired characters and desired products. Now gene cloning, you can produce multiple copies of the same gene using PCR technique, right? You have one gene right? So one copy of a particular gene, and you want to have hundreds or thousands of copies of the same gene, then you have a tool, you have a technique called polymerase chain reaction. Then cell cloning. There is another technique called cell cloning, where we use hybridoma technology, right? So one example I have already mentioned in one of my previous session is the production of synthetic insulin, right? Then plant cloning, of course, there is a simple technique called tissue culture, right? Tissue culture is the technique where we are going to produce exact copies of plants. And in animal, the cloning is used to produce clones, right? Cloning experiments were done in simple organisms like mice, rabbit, etc. In different mammals also it is tried. So production of dolly is one of the milestone in the history of biotechnology. And as far as humans are concerned, legally cloning is not permitted in any countries in the world. So therefore, we do not have authentic information regarding the human cloning. So cloning is also an important tool to produce the desired characters and desired products. Now that's about some of the important concepts like vectors, then tDNA PBR322, complementary DNA library, and cloning. So we understood these concepts. That's all for this particular session. Thank you.